Hello, and welcome to another edition of Speaking with the Principal. I'm Ron Stromensky, principal of Wakefield High School, and it's good to have you along once again. Today in studio, making an annual visit to our program, is the Director of Student Activities and the Athletic Director of Wakefield High School and the Wakefield School System, Mr. Barry Haley. Barry, welcome back to the show.
Thank you very much.
Good to have you here, and lots of things happening in the realm of student activities and athletics around the school system. One of the things that people often ask me as a school person, as a principal, is we have a very unique coupling that make up the job of the athletic director. Unlike, your job is very different than any of the other athletic directors in the Middlesex League.
It's very unique, yes. Most athletics is usually tied to either physical education and health or with a teaching position as a extracurricular activity only. My position is unique and very enjoyable because I deal with the full aspect of the student body, which has some special benefits to make the job easier.
And of course, one of the things that we have been keying on at the high school, and I know has expanded system-wide, is to develop greater opportunities for young people beyond the end of the school day. And your position evolved out of that particular part of the high school improvement plan, and the fact that there were many parents and students alike who thought that perhaps we needed to do more prior to high school at the middle school level and elementary level. I don't get an opportunity too often to talk with you about what happens within the other schools, and maybe you could share some plans or some actual activities with the viewers that are going on at the elementary or middle level.
Exactly, you're right on the money with what's unique about this position is that opportunity to work system-wide and be in contact with students, to be known to students and to share information, what's available at Wakefield High School, and also we're creating programs at the other levels. At the middle school, currently we have an after-school program, sports program that began last year under the direction of Michael Sheeran, who coaches on the high school faculty, athletic staff in basketball and softball. I've had meetings this fall with the middle school principal and administrative staff, and we're developing a comprehensive plan. We've had such success with the amount of students participating at the high school. We want to mirror that success at the middle school. We want students to be involved much after the end of the day with teachers, with staff people, with activities across the span of athletic activities, sports, clubs, drama, music that are all there, and make it an integral part of the education in Wakefield Public Schools.
Barry, where does it fit? I mean, at the high school level, most students at the high school level have already exceeded the age level of being able to participate, say, in recreational department activities, but the younger kids can be involved in youth soccer programs, Pop Warner type football things. How do school activities fit with Recreation Commission?
The usual age is 13 or 14, where those youth opportunities start to change, and that's that very worrisome age, especially for me having a 13-year-old son. He's now leaving that youth opportunity that there's quite, and one of the very strengths of our athletic program is the feeder system of athletes that come from our youth sports programs, baseball, the WBA, the traveling basketball, youth softball, Pop Warner football are excellent programs that have huge participation there. And we're trying to make those programs fit our program that provides opportunities for those students that are in that middle age. Pop Warner football, for example, there's a weight limit. The students can only participate up till they weigh a certain amount, and they're too large, it becomes a safety issue. So those students don't have that opportunity to participate. So we want to create programs that give all students those same opportunities.
It's interesting looking at, for example, this year's football program, that the number of students that was cited in the program by Pop Warner that said these are varsity players who did come through the system.
Right.
And the oft-mentioned fact that last year's highly successful basketball teams had played for many years together. How does our feeder system compare with our competitors?
I think I just used the word feeder system. I don't know if that's a great. I think their programs are unique in that their participation programs, that they have a lot of kids participating. That's their goal. They do give us those students with a background in that, and that's a very, there are different goals. Their programs have different goals than our programs. Participation is one of the big things. Comparison to other communities, I think it's unparalleled. I think that the involvement of this community in the programs is superb. The communication between those groups. I know 2 years ago when I first came here, there was a meeting of the heads of hockey and football and basketball youth programs, and those people don't usually speak to each other, never mind, sit down and work to what's best interest of all the kids. And that, I think that relationship has continued with my involvement in the permitting process for school and field usage. I have a great rapport with those people, and we work positively together, and with that goal in mind of what's best for all the kids. So I think that the community of Wakefield is very fortunate to have the kind of program for children available to them.
At the high school level this year in fall athletics and extracurricular activities, can you give us an idea of the participation level? Athletic, non-athletic, music?
It really is phenomenal. We were able, in athletics, we went to a new computer system in the student activities office to really chart what levels the kids and where they're participating. A week prior to the start of school, there were 400 students participating in athletics, 130 plus in the band, close to 60% of the school. Now that school has started, the club activities have begun, the art club, volleyball club, drama club, DECA, Latin club, and all have great participation, and many of the students are participating in multiple clubs, which gives that broad spectrum experience to kids. I don't know an exact figure, but I would say fully 70% of the student body is involved in extracurricular activities, which is tremendous.
I heard you mention volleyball, and that was one of the things that was new. Where are we? What can you tell us about the progression of the volleyball program in the high school?
The volleyball program started out last year. We had an introductory program. Melissa Butaro was a guidance counselor at the high school, has volunteered to advise the program. We had a sign up. We have 30 girls participating on an irregular basis. We have about 20 who are very regular, 3 times a week. They're there. They're learning the game of volleyball. There is an opportunity in a few weeks that they're going to go to a freshman sub-varsity play day that will be held in Reading with Marcia Vale, who is our outdoor track coach, is an assistant volleyball coach in Reading. She's invited our kids up to participate there to get an experience of seeing how the game is played at the interscholastic level, which I think will be a great learning experience. So it's progressing. I think the large number of participation we have, especially among female athletes, is one of the limiting factors of that program really growing, and that's not a bad thing.
Are there opportunities in Wakefield for boys and girls to play volleyball prior to coming to high school that you're aware of?
Not
Do
that
they come in with any, having had any experiences?
No, other than physical education instruction, which is vastly different than competitive volleyball is played. So that's one of the things. We're teaching the sport at a very primary level to those students.
The other new idea that's hit the activity scene, particularly athletics, is ice hockey for women. What can you tell us about what's happening in that arena?
It's one of the fastest growing interscholastic sports in the state of Massachusetts. Just 3 years ago, I was involved in a committee that set up the first Massachusetts Interscholastic League. Formerly, the few teams that had it competed against prep schools and private schools. Massachusetts Public School League was started. It's growing. There was interest by students. We have quite a few students that participate at the youth level in girls ice hockey. They came to me looking for support. My wife was a former women's ice hockey player, so it didn't take very much to get that support from me. We had some introductory meetings last week. I have a meeting later on this week with a parent who's been very involved in getting it organized. We've identified the questions to ask. to give us direction to where we go. We have a policy within the school system adopted by the school committee last year to create new activities. We will use that policy as a guideline, as we did last year with the figure skating club that competed interscholastically. So I see it has a future. There are a lot of questions out there. One of the real limiting factors is the scarcity of ice time in this area. I know that the people that are involved in youth hockey in the town really struggle with that on a constant basis, and we struggle with it at the varsity level. We play all of our sub-varsity games away because of a lack of ice time for the boys' team. So I see that as one of the major roadblocks, but I don't think it's an insurmountable one.
In the Middlesex League where we compete, how many schools and which ones already have women's ice hockey?
Belmont and Lexington have established programs. One of their very helpful things is both of those schools have a rink either on school property or adjacent to the school. Watertown started the program, first-year program last year. And there is interest in Reading and in Burlington and in Wakefield, and the athletic directors from the schools have kind of shared information of the numbers and interests and where we can go in the future with those.
What kind of numbers, Barry, would be needed to sustain a program? How many girls would have to indicate and actively get involved in it?
That's a very difficult question. I think to play the sport against another team, you would need that 15 to 18 players. I think to develop the program, you'd need a number of about 25 students to participate to begin to have a flow. Many times when new programs start, there's an interest group that begins the program, and they gather up their friends, and there isn't that supportive interest from outside. And when those students leave, the program is then left without really the solid nucleus to continue, and that's where you really carefully tread through the organization process.
It would seem to me you also then would have two other major considerations. You mentioned one, which is the availability of ice time, which is expensive. Equipment is expensive.
Right.
Hockey is just
very expensive.
Very expensive, and it would mean that you would have to go and look for an increase in the athletic budget to make that a reality, or how would you approach that?
Well, I'll look for an increase in the athletic budget because of the participation we have is tremendous. But that would the policy to generate new programs, to begin new programs, says that a first-year program developed by student interest is funded entirely for a minimum of the first year by the students themselves. And that's one of the things the meeting we'll have this week. We'll look at some of the fundraising activities and coordinate them into the overall scope of fundraising that's done in extracurricular activities. So those are the questions that are there.
Now, these young ladies who have indicated an interest, have they had an opportunity to play hockey in the area? Do they come to the high school saying, we would like a team because we've participated, or are they skaters that would just like to?
There's a cross-section of that. There are students that have extensive playing experience at all different levels, and then there are students who have an interest of trying it. They didn't try it when they were younger, and girls ice hockey is a developing program at the youth program. My youngest son is involved in the Masco program. They started the girls team 2 years ago. They've grown to 3 girls teams, and so it's developing at all levels. So I think that there is that mix of experience.
Are there any teams in the state, boys hockey teams, that entertain women on the teams?
Oh, quite a few. Yes, there are a number. There's a prime example that Newton North High School 4 or 5 years ago, goalie was a female, played in the Super 8 tournament in the Boston Garden, and she was outstanding. So levels of play, it is, and it's very prevalent. In the Middlesex League, there are a number of schools that have female players participating mainly on the sub-varsity level. Strength and speed is quite a difference. I think one of the unique differences in the girls' game is it's a no-check game. It's a finesse game. It's a well-played game when it's played that way.
Okay. Got enough time just for you to mention maybe a couple of activities that our viewing audience might be interested in, 2 or 3 that are up and coming at this time of year?
Activities athletically, we're ending the fall sports season for most of the teams. Boys and girls soccer have qualified for the state tournament. The cross-country teams will be proceeding into the large district and class meets in the next few Saturdays, so that's a very exciting time in athletics. The football team still has 5 games remaining in a very exciting season. It's been a great fall, a very successful fall, both with participation and the success of the teams. Student activities, we just completed a highly successful band competition on Saturday.
Yes, and let's extend our congratulations to our student musicians and all of the members of the marching band for all gold at the MICA competition.
And the cooperation of everyone that made that event, that contained 19 bands and 1,000+ students and many more spectators. It was really a excellent event for the community of Wakefield. Student activities. Saturday night we have the cheerleader dance, which is a traditional event, a great event that one of those positive experiences that kids can participate in that we support so strongly. Next week, the junior class spaghetti supper.
Which is on Thursday?
Which is on Thursday night, the 30th.
The 30th of October, so make sure you get your tickets. 5:30?
5:30, correct.
And one more because we're running out of time.
Okay, and there's a coffee house, student council coffee house, and the end of the marking period, which is, remember, academics is our first priority here. We want to make sure the students keep that as an important event.
Okay, thank you. Barry Haley, Athletic Director and Director of Student Activities in the Wakefield School System. Thanks for being with me. We'll see you again real soon on Speaking with the Principal.